afternoon. My name is Danielle Bartolo, and I am the Vice President of Digital and Social Analytics at the Ad Council. For those of you who don't know us by name, I'm sure you've been impacted by our work. We're the nonprofit behind Smokey Bears, Only You Can Prevent Wildfire, Friends Don't Let Friends Drive Drunk, A Mind is a Terrible Thing to Waste, and our latest viral hit with the Dancing Skeletons, Love Has No Labels, to support diversity and inclusion. We are a nonprofit and the largest producers of public service communications in the country. And we have the benefit of working with every sector in the communications industry, from our fantastic ad agencies that help us know and understand our target audiences and develop our strategies and our media planning, along with our campaign creative that inspires our audiences. We work with media companies who donate their advertising time and space and help us get the word out there, and tech platforms that help us use emerging digital technology to connect with our audiences in new and innovative ways. But at the heart of our organization is research and measurement. Our mission, in fact, is to make a measurable change against social causes. And we hold ourselves accountable by developing an evaluation toolkit for each of our campaigns. And that toolkit includes these 4 framework buckets. The first, exposure, whether or not folks have the opportunity to see our messaging. The second, awareness or recognition. Our messaging can be out there, but not if folks don't recall seeing it, or certainly tie it back to the campaign issue. We also look at engagement, whether or not folks are interacting with our content that we post on social, visiting our website, or taking key activations online. Most importantly, we also look towards impact, whether or not we're changing the attitudes, beliefs, and behaviors of our audience. And we do so by using a continuous tracking study that allows us to get a baseline before a campaign starts about those attitudes and beliefs and track it month over month to see the effect we're having. For each campaign in our docket, we develop a research plan that has components under each of these buckets that helps us fill in the ways that we're aiming to make measurable changes. We also have benchmarks in place for each of these measurement buckets. Recently, we've developed a digital evaluation plan that helps to guide our use of digital outlets, platforms, and tools, and ensure we're structuring our content around these same evaluation buckets. Each digital evaluation plan looks much like this pared down example, and we structure these plans to work hand in hand with our larger research plan. Having these plans developed at the start of a campaign helps us ensure that both internally and externally, we have a common framework in mind and a plan in place, that we're all on the same page as to how different media types or activations will work together and how we can determine if a certain creative or media strategy is working well for us or if we have to pivot. We've talked a lot this morning about how difficult it can be to be innovative, to use new digital technologies in innovative ways. But we found that by ensuring that we have measurement tools in place and consistent buckets that we always use to evaluate our campaigns, it makes it a bit easier to integrate these novel approaches. With this in mind, I'd like to share 3 case studies that illustrate our opportunities to engage with audiences, drive awareness, and motivate behavior change using the digital space. The first is prediabetes or type 2 diabetes prevention. Some of you may have heard my colleague Rochelle Reeder speak about this yesterday during a breakout session. But for those who didn't attend, I'd like to tell you a bit about it. In 2015, our partners, the CDC, the AMA, and the American Diabetes Association came to us with an astounding statistic that 1 in 3 Americans have prediabetes, a condition that makes it much more likely that you'll go on to develop type 2 diabetes. But with this, they also brought the knowledge that 90% of folks who have prediabetes don't know it, and that there are simple actions they can take through lifestyle changes, more physical activity, eating more healthfully to decrease their risk. So we wanted to understand if it's so clear-cut as to how you can make these changes, how come folks aren't taking it and type 2 diabetes has become so prevalent in our country? And what we found is that most people, in fact, know they should be eating more healthfully and getting more physical activity. But our target audience simply was busy. They're trying to care for their family, they're trying to spend time with their friends, and they didn't have the opportunity to really prioritize these healthful actions. But what we did hear from them is if they had a diagnosis, a real reason to shift their behavior, they would. So from this, we needed to meet our target where they were. And oftentimes, that meant we needed to meet them while they were flipping the station on TV or scrolling through their Facebook newsfeed. So with that, we developed this video that helps bring a risk test right to them.
It takes less than 1 minute to find out if you may have prediabetes. You can do it here. But you probably won't. You're busy. Kids, work, show coming back in 48 seconds. So let's do this now. Hold up one finger if you're a man, women, 0. 3 more fingers if you're over 60, 2 over 50, 1 over 40. If you're not sure, keep in mind you're sitting on a couch right now, so 1 more finger if you're not very active. 1 finger if yes, 0 if no. 1 yes, 0 no. Next, find the body type that looks most like you and hold up that many fingers while I look around awkwardly. And that's it. If you're holding up 5 fingers or more, you probably have prediabetes. Sorry to be so blunt, but hey, you're busy. Just go to the site.
So in light of what we've spoken about over the past couple of days, I want to point out 2 key features of that piece of creative. It uses humor to open up folks to the message, and it really meets the audience exactly where they were. You all just took the risk test. So we found that over the 2 years of the campaign, we had nearly 2 million visitors to our site and about 500,000 risk tests completed. Folks were armed with information they could bring to their healthcare provider to learn more about their personalized risk. Our messaging helped make it clear that so many of our targets were at high risk and armed them with an opportunity to do something about it. My next example that talks about leveraging our audience insights is bullying prevention. We all know that cyberbullying is a significant issue in our communities. The vast majority of teens will say that they've seen mean posts on social media or cruelty via text, and kids are often afraid to get involved when they see bullying. Bullying is not just a one-way conversation between the bully and the victim. There's a whole host of kids that see this activity, and they know it's wrong, but they're not quite sure what to do about it. What we've learned from our research is that when someone steps up and says something and intervenes, the bullying is likely to stop. So we wanted to make it easier for kids to get involved when they saw bullying and help put an end to it. We already knew, and we all know, that kids are connected through texting, through social media, and other digital platforms. So it seemed only natural that our communications would use their language, emojis, to help make getting involved a bit more easy. We partnered with Android and the Apple iOS to get an emoji right in your native keyboard. You all have these in your smartphones right now. And we wanted to let kids know that this emoji existed that enabled them to say to a bully, hey, I saw what you said, or I saw what you did, and that's not cool. Or to say to the victim of bullying, I saw what happened, I'm a friend, I'm here for you. So we put out this video through our TV and digital distribution platforms.
They said I have troll teeth.
That my voice sounded like a possessed baby doll.
That no one would ever love someone as stupid as me.
That I was fat, ugly.
Disgusting.
The effect of bullying is potent.
We will no longer be the silent majority.
Now, when you see online bullying, there's something you can do about it.
We're gonna take action with the I.
I am a witness.
I am a witness.
I am a witness.
I am a witness.
I am a witness, and so are you.
You may have recognized some of those folks. Those are YouTube content creators. We know that these folks are very relevant to our target audience and wanted to send a message to them through their voices and through folks that mattered most to them. We also had platforms on which bullying happens most. Reddit, Snapchat, Facebook published their own custom content to get the message out to their users as well. And from these activations, we found that 1 in 3 kids had seen the emoji and had used it and related to bullying, a huge find for us. We also saw that kids who were aware of the campaign message were more likely to say they knew what to do when they saw bullying and believed they can make a difference, all from a simple emoji. My last example stems from the use of big data to inform campaign iterations. In 2012, we began a partnership with Goodwill. And our campaign really focused on the idea that there are many worthy places where you can donate goods. Maybe it's a place close to your house, maybe it's a partnership with your kid's school, but oftentimes there's not much of a point of differentiation between donating to place A or place B. But Goodwill has an interesting point of distinction. It uses the sale of the donations that you bring to them to fund job placement and training right in your local community. It's a really neat approach. So in 2015, we had 2 years of data and 2 campaign iterations under our belts, and we wanted to bring some new thinking to the campaign. With that in mind, we conducted a media mix model with Millward Brown to better understand the types of messages that were working hardest to help us. For those of you who aren't familiar with media mix modeling, it's a type of regression analysis that looks at a variety of inputs, here things like consumer confidence, economic impacts, and our media support, to model an output variable, in this case, pounds of donation to Goodwill. The model then looks at a baseline, so what would have happened if we didn't have the Ad Council campaign, versus what pounds of donations the Ad Council campaign was actually responsible for. And we found that the Ad Council campaign was responsible for 363 million pounds of donations. Over half of that came from our digital activities alone, things like search, our social media content, our display advertising. So we certainly had a way forward in inspiring our new campaign. Our next step was to use this digital focus to dig a bit deeper into our consumer needs. We used social listening to understand that when folks are talking about Goodwill and thrift stores in general, they're more likely to be talking about fashion. So we wanted to lean into this finding and ultimately shifted our campaign strategy away from a donation message and towards one that encouraged shopping at Goodwill, which got to that second prong of the Goodwill mission to generate job placement and training. We again leveraged our YouTube influencers to help motivate a millennial audience to both donate and also shop.
Hi, my name is Jen Im. I'm a fashion enthusiast, YouTuber, and a proud donor to Goodwill. Here's a fun fact. Every 23 seconds of every business day, Goodwill helps place someone in a job. How do they do it? With your donations.
So we again saw strong results coming from this campaign with upticks in Goodwill preference and donation as a result of leaning into the conversation that our audience was already having and tailoring our message to a medium that we know was working hardest for us. So just a few quick points to leave you with. As I mentioned at the start of my talk, our research process puts our campaign target at the center of our work. At each step in our message development, we check back with them to ensure that we're getting it right, that we're putting their attitudes, their priorities, and their behaviors at the center of our work. We also have a standard measurement funnel that we adapt for each campaign that helps us clearly set out our KPIs and have a common goal from the start. We have benchmarks based on previous iterations of our work, and for new campaigns based on a similar type of message. Last but not least, if you've noticed, I mentioned a variety of data types across each of the campaigns I've mentioned. Google Analytics, Crimson Hexagon, continuous tracking, media mix modeling, just to name a few. We're all sitting on exceptional amounts of data, and each data can tell a different facet of the story and allow us to bring new insights into our work. I hope these examples have provided you with a few ideas as to how you and your organization can help make a healthier, socially responsible behaviors easier through a focused strategy, audience insights, robust measurement, and creative thinking. Thank you.